Hi everyone, my name is Carlos. I'm president of CTD Development Services Incorporated. I'm also the host for this channel. I want to thank you for coming and watching some of our videos. Do me a favor before we get started. Go ahead and hit that red subscribe button right at the bottom of your screen. Once you're subscribed, please go ahead and hit the notification bell right next to it. This way you get to stay on top of everything that I put out. I got a lot of content coming out real soon. Maybe once a day, maybe once every other day, because we have a lot of things that we have to fix in our public schools, which is the nurturing ground for future adults. And the adults that are around today, we're not doing such a hot job with our planet, with our children, with our education, with our politics. And so if we can't get it right ourselves, let's at least help our kids get it right for them and for future generations. And the place to start is in our public schools. All right, expect to be provoked with the truth. Expect to be provoked with my opinion. It's only an opinion, but I do my research. So please join us. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. And let's see, I'm going to go to, let's go to this blank screen right here. And I'll start with the name of the school district, or the district website. So it's LAUSD.net. And here we are. Okay. And so I'm going to find a school, and I go here to school directory. And let's see how, you have plenty of ways to find a particular school. If you don't know a school name, you can check by school type, or local district, or board districts. Today we're going to look at Carson High School. I'll just go ahead and type in Carson. Now hit the search button. We'll look at Carson High School. And okay, so here we are. Carson Senior High. Carson Senior High, the Academy of Empowerment. So I guess that's a school within a school. Carson Senior High Academy of Medical Arts. And those three are all in the same location. They're in Board District 7, otherwise known as Local District South. Here is the phone number for each one of those schools. They go grades 9 through 12. And here is their cost center code, which I assume at some point will be necessary to know. Alrighty, but let's go with what we know. Start with just Carson Senior High. Maybe I'm going crazy. Let's try one more time. Carson. There we go. Okay, and so what you have, excuse me for 1 second while I move this out of my way. What you have is from the school directory, from the school district directory down to the school, and it gives you a quick snapshot of, with some data reports about the school, right? And so here's the contact information, once again, district information, and then here you get to see the school profile, performance indicators, school budget reports. So if you are truly interested in knowing the nitty-gritty of what happens at your school, you can find it here. I can't tell you how urgent it is that parents at each school get into this nitty-gritty, and I'm going to show you why right now. Okay, so let's start with the School Experience Survey. Alrighty, takes you to this page that is linked to the Office of Data and Accountability, right? And so when you click here, School SES stands for School Experience Survey. You get to see the results. You can see them in Spanish. You can see them by subgroup, grade level, socioeconomic status, are they in a special program, male, female, if you want to have that breakdown. But let's start with the populace in general. And so I'm going to click on the results. Okay, and what you have here is the actual result outcomes, right? And so survey outcomes. And so this was taken last year. You can see here that 4 groups were invited to complete the survey. It lands by default on students, but you could see how the parents did, staff, teachers. Now, I don't know why it does this each and every time, but it starts with LAUSD stats collectively, right? So what that means is if you want to find your school, once again, you're going to have to type in Carson, and it was senior high, so I'm going to Carson Senior High, and you can see the numbers have changed now. And so I'm still on students, and it starts with the conversation about academics, and I'm going to switch that to school climate. And school climate has to deal with feeling connected, feeling safe, and so forth, right? And so these are the numbers for Carson High, students, school climate. You can see here that when the students were asked to complete this survey, they were given statements such as, I have had mean rumors or lies spread about me, and then they got to select one of the 5 options. Orange stood for strongly disagree, light orange stood for disagree, light blue stood for neither agree nor disagree, then there's agree, and finally in dark blue there is strongly agree. Okay, and you can see the results in percentages here by band. There's also the total number of responses, and then there is the percentage that selected agree or disagree. All right, so they separated them: strongly disagree, disagree, neither agree nor disagree, kept those separate, and then agree or strongly agree. So what does that mean? Agree or strongly agree? Yes. The others, no. Right? Or that, at least that's how I think they interpreted it, because that's where they had the split. And so as you see here in blue, the percentages of students that said agree or strongly agree. To the right of that are the scores for LAUSD in total. Okay. Now, before I move on to looking at some of what the replies were, it's worth noting that we are also given students, the percent of students who actually responded. So at Carson High, 83% of all students replied. Alrighty, so these numbers that you see here, that's a good approximation of the entire school. On the other hand, when we look at the parents' responses, we're going to see that we got responses from less than half of all the parents that could have possibly replied. And that's where I reach out to you parents, because this is the first sign of a problem. My school, my daughter's school, is at 15% parent participation, so we definitely have a problem. But even at 43%, there's a reason why 57% did not reply. And let me tell you, somebody who's worked in public schools in a variety of positions, it's not always because they don't care, or because they're scared, or because they can't speak the language. It's something deeper than that, and it varies from school to school. You have to become part of the school culture if you don't go, to understand what the reasons are, and then we're going to have to do something about it. Okay, 43% participation, not helpful for anybody. And you'd be surprised how much power parents have over the attitudes and the outcomes that occur at a school. But you got to go, or you got to communicate with them, and you have to demonstrate that you know a little bit about what you're talking about. And I think as parents in these times where education is so important, you owe it to yourself. Alrighty? And then you'll see that in addition to parents, the staff, non-teaching staff replied. 82% of the staff responded. And then you have the teachers, right? So you see 95% of the teachers, and that's pretty good. That's real good, at least in comparison to my daughter's school. And then there's a number of surveys, that gives you the number of surveys that were returned. So that 95% equated to 57 teachers. So good for you, Mr. Principal, or Mrs. Principal, because they say a fish stinks from the head down. So if your teachers aren't replying to the survey, there's something wrong with you. Mr. or Mrs. Principal. All right, there's no other way to say it. And so, looking here then. So let's take a look. I'm not going to go through each reply because we'll be here all day. Now that you know how to get there, you should be able to go on your own. But there's, within the area of school climate, there's the content area of bullying, connectedness, expectations for behavior, opportunities for participation in leadership, and safety. All right, we'll start with bullying. And I'll tell you that many of these questions or statements I don't find relevant, but you may. So you can look at them in detail. But I will look at the one that stands out for me the most. And so in bullying, it's statement D, which says, I have been pushed, shoved, slapped, hit, or kicked by someone who wasn't just kidding around. All right, so you have 88% who strongly disagreed, 6% who disagreed. It's hard to tell what percentage that is of somewhat agreed or disagreed, but we know that 6% of those students that returned their survey stated that they agreed or strongly agreed, right? Now, you take 6% of 1,175. Let's do that calculation just to be exact. Oops, let's try that one more time. Calculator, 1175 times 0.06 gives you 70 students. All right, let's stop and think about that for a second. 70 students, maybe more, because not everybody submitted their survey, say that they have been hit in some form or fashion by someone who wasn't just kidding around. Could that be one of your kids? Do you know about it? You have the data, you can ask them. Alrighty, let's take a look at another one, which is F. I have had sexual jokes, comments, or gestures made to me. And when you look at that one, we're looking at 17% of 1182. Let's do that calculation. Shouldn't have closed my calculator. All right, 1182 times 0.17, and that gives us 200 students who said, yeah, they agree or strongly agree that they have had sexual jokes, comments, or gestures made to them. All right, is it all female? Is it male? You can find out on the subgroup report. Show you the same graph. Well, not the same graphs, but show you same questions, same statements, broken down by male, female, and other subgroups. But did you hear about it? Was it your child who said they agree or strongly disagree or strongly agree? Did they come to you? Was it resolved? Did you even know that so many students on your campus have had gestures, sexual gestures made to them? And how did they feel about it? Was it really egregious, or was it, you know, boys being boys, which for some is unacceptable? Up to you to find out, because this is at your school. All right, connectedness. So I'll say this much about connectedness, and I'll go through it real quick. Yes, it would be ideal for all of our children to feel connected to the school they go to have their nice circle of friends, and they'll be good boys and girls, and that they feel like their teachers care about them beyond teaching them. But that's not the reality, and I don't think it ever will be in any place where you have a large group of people. There are oddballs, there are antisocial folks, there are folks who became teachers because they have a real passion for it, and there's others because that's the best job they could get. What we need to care about is that our students, our children, have teachers that care about doing an excellent job teaching. An excellent job teaching isn't just staring at the board and writing elegant notes, running beautiful formulas. speaking eloquently. It means knowing how to assess your student, checking for understanding, knowing how to break your class day up or break up your students into groups so that you can give time to those that are falling behind and allow those who are current to move forward with some independent study. You want a teacher that has a variety of strategies already planned and mapped out to know precisely what to do when you're dealing with a classroom that has a variety of ability levels. There's no getting around that. Okay, if you're in high school, if you're a high school teacher, you know, you have kids who have been, going through the system since kindergarten through 8. Some, graduated middle school, all A grades, right? 4.0 GPA. Then you have your A's and B's. Then you have your A, B's, and C's. And then you have your B's and C's, right? And then you have your F's. And then you have your F and D's, your D's and C's. You get everything under the sun. Now, the schools do their best to try to separate them into groups, like your gifted students, because those are so far out the box that they really can't hang, in a classroom with just your average students. And there's nothing wrong with being average. It's, do we have good strategies at the school so that your child will learn regardless of what level they get to the doorstep at, and that they're received in a way that shows your ability level doesn't matter. I got a plan that's going to work for you. This is rocket science to many teachers. Some of them not. They've been well trained. Others have not. That's the reality, right? So it's on you to find out, where your child is at. But getting back to the connectedness issue. So the questions are going to be about feelings of belonging and so forth. And I just want to make sure that we don't give too much weight to the connectedness thing, because guess what? I was disconnected from my school, or I wasn't totally disconnected, but I could care less, right? That wasn't what was the reason I was going to school. School was a means to an end. It was a way to get the education that would allow me to one day get away from home. I had to get away from home. I had an overbearing parent, and when I got away, freedom. Thank God my school gave me a rigorous education that allowed me to, gain admission into a prestigious 4-year university. Because had I had to stay home, even to go to a regular 4-year university or a community college, I think I would have blown my head off, right? So you want your child to get high quality, standards-based, rigorous academic instruction. And just because the school says on paper that they do that doesn't mean it's true in the classroom. That's what we need to focus on. But let's get into some of these. I am happy to be at this school. Seriously, are you going to ask that question? I don't know anybody who's happy to be at their school, right? When you're a teenager, when you're a kid in general, when you're in college, you don't want to go to school. You may enjoy learning, but have to be at the same place every day, follow the same schedule every day, have to learn from adults that some you may like, some you make it interesting and others don't. Probably not. I don't know why you're asking that question. All right. Do I feel like I am a part of the school? Like I said, I didn't feel like I was a part of the school, but I didn't want to be a part of the school, right? So you got to be careful that we don't, make a lot of noise about the stuff that doesn't matter. This one is important. This one you need to have 100% agree or strongly agree, which is the teachers at this school treat students fairly. And so let's take a look. And we see here, well, let's look at here first. 60% district-wide on average at the high school level felt that they were treated fairly. So, which is bad enough as it is. That means 40% don't feel that they're treated fairly. But then we look here at Carson High and the students there, and 44%, only 44% feel that they're treated fairly. The opposite way to look at that is 60%, well, close to 60, 6 out of every 10 students don't feel that their teachers treat the students fairly. All right, so what's the problem here? Now that goes back to my comment about the students. What the students need are not teachers that care about their personal lives or get involved in their personal lives or give them hugs. You want teachers that respect the students and make the students feel by clarifying and by demonstrating and by being fair. And what that means is, as you look at the students, as you look at your teacher in the classroom, the students are telling us some kids get to get away with murder, others don't. Some get a slap on the wrist, others don't. They get the book thrown at them. Some students are given an opportunity to hand their homework in late, others don't. And so the range of possibilities is endless. I can't give you the answer. The data gives you where to look at. That's important. That makes you uncomfortable. If you feel uncomfortable about anything you see here, then you got to dig deeper. This is not going to answer any questions for you beyond here is a hotspot. This might be the reason why the graduation rates are where they are, and how much better could they get if the replies were better, showed a higher level of satisfaction. This is like a customer satisfaction report, okay? And so 6 out of every 10 students, that means there's a high likelihood that your kid feels like they're not being treated fairly. Now, what does that mean? What are the implications? Well, when you don't trust the adult that's teaching you, when you don't feel that he or she respects you, then you're not going to try as hard. Even when you know that it's bad for you, you're not going to try as hard. And so you need to get involved for your own kid's good. They check out, or maybe he might start acting up in class. She might start acting up in class because she thinks the teacher is an asshole. Which, if you think that they're not treating you fairly, then there's probably a few assholes in the bunch. Alrighty? And so I dealt with an asshole at my daughter's school, lost that battle, and I tried really hard. I went to the district level. That's why I'm doing this now, because I know this happens in every high school, middle school, elementary school, in varying degrees, but it happens. And if we want to see change that is meaningful, that leads to equity, because they can blow equity to no end on every piece of paper generated, these numbers aren't screaming to me of equity, okay? And the only way that they're going to get fixed is if parents, you get involved. I can't emphasize that enough, alrighty? So when you have only 43% showing up, can't get anything done, have no power. You have to start coming together, parents, and being a voice worth dealing with. Alrighty? So there you have a problem, right? That you feel that you're treated fairly. Then there's this one, adults at the school. So this one was about the teachers, and this is about the adults in general. Adults at the school treat all students with respect. No surprise, if they don't feel the teachers treat them with respect. You think that these kids haven't gone to the principal or the dean or a counselor and said, hey, so-and-so did something. This teacher grabbed my paper and threw it in the trash. Happens in schools every day. And they went to somebody and nothing happened. Look, when I went to complain about my kid's teacher, I spoke to an assistant principal. I spoke to the attendance office. I spoke to a district administrator, local district administrator over here at Local District West. I spoke to a director. Then I spoke to, I forget who else I spoke to, as a deputy director. And eventually, I made such a fuss that they actually put it in writing. First of all, they're supposed to put it in writing from the get-go. Okay, from when I spoke first and foremost to the assistant principal, that should have gone in writing. It didn't. All right, but finally I got it in writing. My mistake for not asking for a photocopy. But you know what happened is, so it was in writing. Immediately, I get a call from the central district office over at Bodrin, this guy sounds like he's a high, ranking director who promised me he was going to speak to the principal and that I should get in touch with him if I didn't see a change in behavior or didn't get a report from my daughter that said there was a change in behavior. Then I spoke to the principal. He called me. Nothing. I gave him the details. He said he would investigate and didn't hear back. Didn't expect to hear back. But, as time progressed, I asked my daughter, how are things? Have they changed? Is he still being a jerk? Is he still, marking you late, even though, you're there on time? But on time is on time, right? And when your school's under construction, you're walking across campus, from far, far away, because they've had to split the school up in bungalows because not everybody fits through the construction site. The one mistake I made was I never went straight to the teacher. I didn't do that because I was so pissed off. Every time I drove to the school and I walked in, I could feel my blood boil. You could see the security guards and the police always, ask me where I was headed and if I was okay. So that's why I couldn't do it. My bad. So once again, I apologize to my daughter. But I think I've said enough. I don't even think I need to show you anymore. Expectations for behavior. Now, let me tell you real quick why I think these are like dumb questions. Students know how they are expected to act. Come on, man. This is high school. Yeah, they know. Why? I don't like that people wrote questions that allow the students to, I want fairness across the board. I don't want to give anybody an opportunity to make up stuff or get leading, questions that put any of these four groups in an adversarial position against one another. It doesn't make any sense. It's on purpose. I'm telling you that it's on purpose to say, students know what the rules are. You know what? Come on. Yes, they know what the rules are. They don't have to ask that question. You don't give them the opportunity to say, no, I got in trouble and I don't know why. By the end of the eighth grade, every child knows the difference between right and wrong because they've experienced both. Every child knows don't walk in front of a running car. Don't cross the street when you have a red light. So they know. Keep your hands to yourself. Watch what you say. Treat everybody with respect. And when you fail to do any of those things, there are consequences. So if it were up to me, I'd scratch all those out. Alrighty, let's see. This school clearly informs students what would happen if they break school rules. We've never heard of suspension by the end of the eighth grade. You've never heard of expulsion. You didn't know that missing homework would result in a low grade. Come on, we're not stupid. Let's not set ourselves up for failure. Okay. Opportunities for participation and leadership. Let me say something. These schools, LAUSD public schools, they have a lot of flaws. So many that it is urgent that we get involved and make things better. Not just even for our kids, but for society at large. But they spend a lot of money, and they do provide a lot of. I think they do a horrible job of communicating to us and reaching out to us, families in general. They like to spray and pray and post everything on the website, and you have to really work hard to find what suits you. But they do provide a lot of opportunity and information, and so once again, the opportunities are there. The school that my daughter goes to, it's almost like a college campus, the amount of extracurricular activities that they provide. So bravo to them for that. So when I look here at Carson High, which isn't my kid's high school, but I got a feeling they're pretty well balanced with my child's high school in terms of providing extracurricular activities and opportunities for the students. What does 62% of overall opportunities for participation in leadership really mean? Because to me, that means 62% of the students believe or actually even participate in the extracurricular activities that the school provides. Does this mean that there were a few students who could not find a single thing that they could get involved in? A few, slight few, but not a lot. I'll give you an example. My daughter, she is yet to get involved in an extracurricular activity. She's a junior. And I ask, I bring them to her. I bring her, or I forward to her notifications that I get from the school that announce, all these programs that are about to launch at the beginning of the school year, middle of the school year, or opportunities that come to you throughout the year. She talks to me about the extracurricular activities that are available. She even communicates some interest in them. But has she ever got involved? She tried out for soccer, didn't make it, but the school provided it. That she didn't make it, that's her fault. She needed to train. I trained her a little bit, but she wouldn't train more than than what I forced her to. So that's what happens. That's my problem. That's her problem. It's not the school's problem. So when I look at 62%, I read that as 38% just didn't have an interest, or they had something outside of their own school. Kids have lives, right? So I don't want us, once again, to focus on the wrong things. You can ask about it. You can talk to your child. That's the key. Talk to your child in depth with the data in front of you. So let's talk about this. I want to know. Now, if they start telling you, yeah, well, everybody else was of the same race and I felt a little bit left out. I'll give you an example, because I was a teacher and I taught in a school where it was about 60% Latino, 40% African American, and the rest was a sprinkling, so we'll leave it at that. And I could see when, if there were a large group of Latinos in something and they were all speaking Spanish, black kid felt left out, right? Or even it didn't come to me, and I would discourage all kinds of opportunities, even if you meant no harm, to have somebody else feel left out, right? And that's something that a teacher can do or an adult at the school can do, but it doesn't get addressed. But that, even then, that's not going to be the explanation for the whole 38%. And if it is, we should do something about it. Hell, you can reach out to me, and I'll stand by you on this stuff. I'm here to help any parent that wants to help. Okay, let's look at here. Safety. All right, let's take a look at this one. I feel safe in this school. 43%. That's scary. And this is why I think that more of you parents need to look at your school's data and talk to your child, ask them questions, and be like, look, if you don't want this to go beyond you and me, I still need you to talk to me. I need you to tell me the whole truth. Are you one of these kids? That means 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 students at this school. So let's just say it's about 660 students that actually answered. 660 that answered and said, I agree. I don't feel safe at this school. Only 43%, so about 440, said they agree or disagree that they feel safe. 660 said, I don't feel safe. What the hell? What the hell? Think about it. 660 students don't feel safe at their school. 660 students, 660 parents living in the city of Carson are sending their kids to Carson Senior High. Should get in touch with one another and go find out what the hell is going on at their school. Unacceptable. Makes it not worth even looking at any other data, because I already know what the data is going to say. Achievement, readiness for college, all that stuff. It's going to be crap. When 660 students at least tell you, I don't feel safe at this school, then do something about it. I don't want to encourage anybody to just say that I'm going to another school, because you ain't. You know what? You're not going to find anything better anywhere. Because safety and the feeling of not being safe takes many shapes or forms. Sometimes you don't feel safe emotionally. Sometimes it's not the students that are making you feel scared. Sometimes it's a combination of teachers and students. Sometimes it's the security. You know this. You read it in the news. You've heard stories from friends and relatives. What are you going to do about it? Don't run away. These are our schools. Our schools. I'm going to teach you, just by knowing this information and holding somebody accountable with, like, answer this for me, and what are you going to do about it? We can transform our schools into the world-class institutions they deserve to be. They are funded. They are funded well enough. I take back what I said about not being, sufficiently funded. I've looked at how the money is. I've seen the plans that they submit for how they're going to spend the money. You won't believe your eyes. I look forward to telling you about that next time we speak. And I'm going to show you the report. The plan that the school site council works on to respond to their findings. And we'll see how much of an effort they actually put into thinking outside the box. I want to bet you some money. $100 says that you and I will both be dissatisfied with what the school site council approves, what the district signs off on and approves as well. Bet your money on it. See you soon. I'm doing this one or every day or every other day. Come back and find me. You'll see what I'm talking about. This is Carlos signing off. Have a great day.